Okay, natututo na ako konti lang. Okay na. Nice.
And a little bit more contrast. And what I'm really looking at is that the darkest pixels in the background match the darkest pixels in the foreground. So if I click on this eye icon, you'll see the before and the after. Much better.
Okay na.
I'm going to now disable the black and white adjustment layer so you can see the result. Unfortunately, when you adjust the levels adjustment layer, you also adjust the color of the image, hue and saturation, and I don't want that. To avoid that from happening, I'm going to click on the drop down and select luminosity. So that now this layer only adjusts luminosity and not the hue or saturation, and I'll give this layer luminosity. The color of the image, hue and now disable the black and white adjustment layer so you can see the result.
Luminosity. No, God na. Ito, babaan ko lang. Okay na to.
Unfortunately, when you adjust the levels adjustment layer, you also adjust the color of the image, hue and saturation, and I don't want that. To avoid that from happening, I'm going to click on the drop down and select luminosity. So that now this layer only adjusts luminosity and not the hue or saturation, and I'll give this layer a new name. I'll call it luminosity, so that we know what it controls. Before and after. Everything's looking much better now. Next, we need to control the color that's in the image. It's somewhat difficult to tell, but the background image has a slight blue tint, and we're going to try to match that onto the foreground so that everything looks more realistic. To do so, we're going to use the curves adjustment layer, and once again, I'm going to click on this icon to clip it to the layer below. Then, make sure that the focus, the white outline on the layer thumbnail is selected. And hold Alt on Windows, Option on the Mac, and click on the Auto button to bring up the Auto Color Correction options. And we're going to use the Find Dark and Light Colors algorithm.
Oh, shanto ngayon.
To bring up the Auto Color Correction options. And we're going to use the Find Dark and Light.
Okay, saan to ngayon? Oh no. Oh man.
light colors algorithm to match the colors of the foreground and background. By default, this algorithm makes the darkest colors of your image black and the brightest colors of your image white, which allows you to color correct the image. But we're going to use this technology to color match. Let me show you how. First, look for the shadows in the background. Double click on the shadows swatch to bring up the color picker and select the shadows in the background. Notice how these shadows are not black, they have color to them, somewhere between blue and green. So that is the color that the shadows of the foreground need to be. So I'm going to press OK to select that color. Now we need to
So darkest shadow. Ito. Wait, so...
look for the brightest part of the background, not including any specular highlights or anything like that. In this case, I think it would be a good idea to select the eyes because it's very bright, but it's not necessarily a specular highlight or something that is blown out. And notice that the eyes also has a little bit of blue in there. So I'll press OK, and notice that immediately the image picks up the colors that we selected and it applies them to the shadows and highlights. I'll press OK. Photoshop will then ask us if we want to make these colors the new defaults. We do not. These colors are just for this image. They'll be different for another image. So I'm going to click on the No button. And if I click on this Curves Adjustment Layer eye icon, you'll see the before and the after. Now notice that the luminosity changed. And we don't want the luminosity to change. So we're going to change the blending mode to color. Color keeps the hue and saturation and disregards the luminosity. So that's what we want. We want color.
Ito, color. Yun, okay na to. Ito, hindi ko to galawin ganito. Ganito lang kanina.
So before and after. And if the effect is too strong, you can always bring down the opacity and adjust it accordingly. I think in this case,
Opacity. Ito, 100.
the effect was a little strong. I don't like the shadows here, so I'm going to reduce it down to about 70%. Before and after. Still a subtle effect, but I think it does a lot to bring this composite together. Next, I'll rename the layer just so that I know what it controls. I'll call it color. In some composites, you may need to adjust the saturation of your image. If you need to do so, click on the new adjustment layer icon, select hue and saturation, clip it to the layer below by clicking on this icon, and then adjust the saturation of the image. In this case, I don't really think we need to adjust the saturation too much. Maybe I need to decrease it just a tiny bit. There's not that much saturation in the background image, so maybe just a little less saturation.
Saturation daw.
Before and after, just a subtle adjustment. So now we
Ay. Difference yun. Oops. Ito pala. Chill. Pinagay ba? Ganito.
We've matched the perspective of the image with the horizon line, and we've also matched the luminosity and color of the image. Let me show you one other thing that I think you should look into when you're making these kinds of composites. I'm going to hold shift again and click on the layer mask thumbnail for the model to bring back the original image. Notice how blurry the background is, the shallow depth of field on this model layer. I want to match that on my composite. So to do that, I'm going to bring back the layer mask. I'm going to click on the layer below. Remember, I made a smart object so I can work on it non-destructively. One of the easiest ways of blurring the background is by going into Filter, Blur Gallery, Tilt Shift. By the way, I have a tutorial that talks all about blurring backgrounds. I'll place a link to it down below in the description. There you'll find all the details and everything you want to know about blurring a background. In this video, I'm just going to give you a general explanation. So with this filter, you can see two solid lines. And anything between the solid line and the dashed line will be a gradual transition between in focus and out of focus. So between sharp and blurry. So I'm going to click and drag this point down and just put the focus part way down here. And I'm going to click and drag on the solid line, and we're going to have a gradual transition from sharp to blurry pixels. I think the background now is a little too blurry, so let me decrease that a little bit, like so. And I'll press OK. So now I have a blurry background before and after. What I'm going to do now is select this layer 0, which is the background layer. The name changed when I converted it into a smart object. Next, I'm going to place all these layers into a smart object so that I can manipulate them as a single layer. So select the background, hold shift, and click on the hue and saturation adjustment layer to select all the layers. Then right click and select convert to smart object. So I'm going to go into filter, camera raw filter, and we're going to pretend this is just a regular photo. And I can adjust the shadows, bring up the shadows so I can get more detail. And maybe I want to enhance the effect and make it seem a little colder. So I'll decrease the temperature.
Okay, wala na. So ito lang best. Ito yung best width. Yung parang ano to, oh, dito. Ano, wait, try ko. Hindi kasi pwede, hindi kasi pwede rin. Impact, wait. Wait. Pero talaga sa side. Medyo puti talaga yung sa side. Pero hindi ko alam paano rin yung darken up. What the fuck is this? Oh my god, ito na best ko. Sige na lang, ito na lang. Oh my goodness. Ano to? I-crop ko yan. Sorry, I did my best. And this was my best. Ito yung na-try ko, man. Kasi yung crop tool. Kaso to na to. I'm sorry. This was all I can give. Hindi ko rin ma-complete. So, parang ganito lang siya kalabasan, no? Pangit! Oh my god! Pangit! Hindi complete. Dapat magawa ko Christmas tree isa. Ano wag? Gagi, ganito lang abot to. Oh my god. Tapos. Sayang. Ay, naku, ayoko. Hanggang dito lang maabot yung powers, man. Sayang. Di tapos. Dapat gagawa ko ng Christmas tree ito para pang cover lang. Kasi wala talaga ako whole picture sa sarili ko, man. Wala talaga.
Maybe add a little bit of texture, make it
Ganito lang talaga maabot. Sayang. Kasi pag nakakarap mo talaga, pangit na, congested na. Unless palakihin ko sa sarili ko. Merge layers. Malaki na rin kasi talaga ako pag ganun. Unless lagyan ko to parang photo filter something. Ano tawag dun? Photo Polaroid. Parang ganito. Mahugan yung table na yan. Hindi ko ito mahanap. Parang ganito. Gano'n sana to? Kung naging ano lang kung naging ano lang ito yung background light brown. Light brown. Ito pwede to. Pwede na to. Kunin ko to. Bahala. Gusto ko na to matapos. What the fuck? Seryoso? Wait. Pwede naman. Ano? Sino aangal ngayon? Sino aangal ngayon? Fuck, ano yan dito? Ay, iselect ko lang. Nagulat ako. Sino? Sino? Oh, oh, sino aangal ngayon? Sino aangal ngayon? Sino aangal ngayon? See? Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Oh shit. Oh, yun. Span ko rin to. Ay. Seryoso ito, gumana ba to? Oh my god. Christmas tree. Christmas tree. Da-na-na-na, da-da-da-da. Harap na kaya Christmas hat, no? Ay, Christmas hat na lang. Oh, Christmas hat ata. Christmas hat. Christmas tree. Da-na-na-na, da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Da-da-da, da-da-da-da. Da-na-na-na, da-na-na-na. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Oops. What? Ano meaning hindi editable? What ako? Kaya pala. No way. What the f... Uy, kagi. Ito naman oh. Yun. Yun, mas okay na. Tapos, pulot ako niyo ayos. Wait, lagyan ko shadow konti. Wait lang. Lagyan ko lang ng shadow. Tapos, yun. Bahala na, okay na to. Submit export. Woo, tapos. Oh my god. Tagal ko dito. Export layers, no. Export as PNG. Oh my god, ang tagal. Ang tagal. Oh my god. Save as PSD. Ano yun? Saving. Ayun, tapos. $35M. Kaya ba? Tingnan ang finished product. Ay, shit. Oh my god.